I know it was a slow start to the season for you and that Dockhound crew, but I have to say it's the Arms. They've come alive. It's under your leadership, your tutelage. Kudos to you, man. You guys are right on the cusp of big things this summer, right?
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do when you're in this independent league, because you've got to realize that every single player that we have was either a college player, a high school player, even an affiliate, and all of the affiliates gave up on them. And it's a sad story, because I love watching kids still continue to play baseball and live out their dreams. But the reality of it, if whatever their scouting reports were when they got released, this is the unfortunate last step. It's either you compete here and re-sign, or you have not made any improvements on why you were released in the first place, and now you go into the real world. So, in the old days, it was getting released. You thought, okay, this is it. This is actually the final step. Once this doesn't work and you don't go back, it is the sad reality of starting a family, trying to support a family, paying a mortgage, and doing things. So, again, you see the enthusiasm with these kids and the hard work they put in it, because they also realize that everything that's been said negative about them for all the years, if they don't go turn that negative into a positive, they will be working.
Hey, I've got to ask you this on a side note. The Kelnick family must have had, now Brewer fans didn't, but it must have been a special week for them this past week with the Braves in town, and seeing Jared play as well as he did against the Brewers, huh?
Yeah, it was. We actually got in late, and I went down to Monday's game. But Monday, Tuesday, and then they had a day game on Wednesday, yes. So what Major League Baseball does, it's kind of neat. In the old days, when I was playing in Milwaukee, or when I'd play in Cleveland, or go to wherever I would go, you play, my dad would call me and say, hey, I need tickets and this and this. So Major League Baseball has relieved or removed that burden from the player, and they put it into a situation where a parent can go and reserve a section, or develop and make a portal with a password or a scan code, and that way they can set aside maybe 200 tickets. And then I can tell you, hey, Tim, yeah, you want to see my son play? Here's the code. Go in there and pick your seat. You go into that section. You pick the 4 seats, the 2 seats you want. You make payment on it yourself. And boom, we all sit together, and that's what they did. And on Tuesday, I believe Tom and Lisa had for Jared almost 250 people from the Waukesha area and the whole Milwaukee area.
Yeah, that's really cool that they were able to do that. And I know that there was a connection, I think he was talking about that last year, whatever, but there was a connection between Jared and Bryce Terang, right? Didn't they play together like youth or something like that back in the day? So it's kind of cool that those families have crossed paths early in those players' careers, right?
Yeah, it is. Baseball has really changed, and you see a lot of guys handshaking because you play a lot together. Before, it wasn't the travel balls and the pre-stuff. It was always in the minor leagues. You ran into a guy in a small city. You met him at Chili's, and you had a beer, and you talked to him, where are you from? Hey, I played against you in college, and this and this. Now these kids at such a young age, 8, 9, 10 years old, going to these perfect game events, going down to the Cobb, going down to, Georgia and Indianapolis and playing in all these things in Texas, they do get to see each other and they know each other's names. And then again, with that being said, the kids are playing on the field and the parents are sitting in the stands, and they're at the same hotels and they're doing things together. Baseball has become a very big family sport, even on opposing teams. He
is Paul Wagner, of course, the pitching coach of the Dockhounds, our baseball insider. And you know what? We'll eventually talk a little outdoors in a minute. That's kind of what we do in this program from time to time. Hey, I've got to ask you this question. I've been dying to ask you. I was in Green Bay, all week with the fellows for training camp. When the Brewers made the deal with the Rockies to bring in Mears, the relief pitcher, and talking about that he had an opposing player come up to a friend of his and say, hey, man, you've been tipping your pitches for about a month. And no one on the Rockies organization caught this, noticed this, whatever. I was like stunned, not so much that they told him because it was a friend of a friend, but it was more in the fact that the organization, the pitching staff, the coaches, they all missed this. They thought the guy just went into a funk. Can this be missed, Wags, or is this like the Rockies going just totally blowing this for this guy?
It's tough. I wouldn't say totally blowing it. It's something that somebody else picks up, and I don't know where the tipping was because I didn't hear that. So first off, Nick Mears is a kid. I have a guy on our team, and they played together in that Rocky organization. So Nick Mears has got a great arm, and he had some control issues, and that's hopefully what the Brewers can figure out. Was he tipping pitches? Was he missing the fastball? Was he missing his slider? What was he tipping, and how was he doing it? So there's a lot of things that you can do. It's either the lower half or the upper half. You can't pinpoint or blame somebody for missing it. I give the kudos to the person that figured it out. And if it is a true thing, and that is what was being done, then again, I tip my hat to him, not necessarily as a frowned eye on the person that didn't find it.
It was interesting because that was one of the first things he talked about when he got in Milwaukee with reporters in the locker room, that he had found out that he was told by an opposing player that he was tipping his pitches, and that's why he had been rocked. His ERA had gone through the roof prior to the trade to Milwaukee. So I really thought it was interesting about that in reference to that. So you guys are home this weekend, right?
We're home this weekend. Yeah, last night we had Fargo Moorhead is in. They're in the Western Division, a very good team. But again, like I said, we're battling now, and this last month is everybody in our division. So I'm not saying we're going to win the division. That's going to be a tough hill to climb with a couple teams ahead of us. But definitely getting to the playoff spot is in our vision and something we want to do. Being in our third year, the first year we had X amount of games and did this well. Year two, we made a 12-game improvement, and year three would be a real good schedule to make the playoffs. And how far are we going to the playoffs? Like we've said, doesn't matter the sport, Tim, right? Doesn't matter if it's football, basketball, NBA. All you have to do is get into the playoffs, and something can happen.
Well, we were in Green Bay last week, and that was the talk. Remember, the Packers got hot in the second half, made the playoffs, and then we all know what happened after. It's just a matter about getting in, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Hey, give me a ticket to the dance, and then I'll show you my moves. And hopefully our Dot-Cons can do that because they worked hard and we struggled a little bit. And unfortunate, some guys had to leave and go home. Some guys had medical issues with family. Some guys had business, and some guys just weren't producing, and they understood it. But this group right now has been put together pretty well, and they're playing well. So you knock on wood, you hope it continues on for about the next 25 days. So
you know what? When we talk about what you did for your profession for so many years was a Major League Baseball pitcher, playing baseball in general. A lot of downtime, especially you think back to the Braves with Smoltz and Glavine and Maddox before he went to the Cubs or after he came from the Cubs. These guys during their off days, they golfed all the time. That's not always what players do. I was just Googling some stuff this morning for the show. There's a group of players, too, that – out the outdoors. That's their passion if they're not playing baseball. Was that one of yours when you played? And if so, what were some of the teammates maybe that, you went out and hunted and fished with?
That is something that, and I don't know if I mentioned it with you. I mean, I'm sure me and you have talked about it in the years, but I didn't take advantage of those things. And I go look at the golf, and I don't like golf. I play it. I do my scrambles. I do our fundraisers. I get so frustrated, and it seems like the first 5 holes I do okay, but then I try to do better, and it's just downhill from there. So for golf, I would always say to them, hey, where are we playing? Because if I'm getting up at 5:30 in the morning for a game, it better be either on a video game or it better be on TV on a Saturday, Sunday when we're watching it. So, and I better be on scholarship because I'm not paying to play golf. So I passed on those. But then it comes to the point where I played with a lot of guys that were down in that southern Georgia, Alabama, Florida, a lot of bass ponds, a lot of guys went fishing. And gosh, Tim, I kicked myself in the ass. I did not take advantage of that. And there's also the hunting down in Texas. And I'm going to use Chipper Jones as an example. I wasn't Chipper, but guys like that had the ability, Adam LaRoche, they had these availabilities to do morning hunts. And again, I didn't take advantage of those either. It's always hindsight 2020, and you look back at it. I wish I would have, and I wish I could have. I just never took advantage of those opportunities, and definitely ones that I missed.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting just looking up. And you know what? When you put in baseball players who hunt and fish, number one on the list is Chipper Jones. That's the guy that always pops up first. So I'm not surprised that you brought him up. Yeah, another guy was Goose Gossage. Again, we're talking about players that have retired. But I would think, too, nowadays with the scheduling stuff, this is more off-season stuff. I think, wasn't Josh Hader, when he was here with the Brewers, wasn't he into doing the outdoor stuff, postseason, whether it be, in the woods, shooting the bow or things like that?
Yeah, Josh is a big hunter. He's a big outdoorsman. He's up from the Maryland area, so when he was down here, he was at one of the archery places. They set him up, and he's got two buddies back in Maryland, and they actually started filming some shoots for him. He's big into the outdoors, as you can see, or if anybody remembers, Josh Hader had the Haderator glove, and it was camoed. The Austin Rileys. There's a lot of guys that are the Drurys. I mean, we all know them as one of the top elite TV outdoor channel personalities, along with Lee and Tiffany. These guys have all taken into that southern hunting atmosphere, and a lot of the players are doing that because, like you said earlier, that's our off season. Our off season isn't the summer. We're not swimming and wakeboarding and skiing on the back, the boat. We're not doing that. We're not jet skiing anymore. Now we come back for the fall and the winter. That's when we hunt. So that's why a lot of the baseball players have turned to hunting, and the personalities in the outdoor and business have just attracted to them, and it's so nice.
Listening to Tailgate Talk here on the game, Tim Scott and Paul Wagner today. If Task was here, he would talk about one of our great sponsors, Buck Rub Archery. And what he would tell you is that the hunting season is just around the corner. You alluded to it. I know you're a guy that shoots the string once in a while. And I was reading an article this week that it's time, less than 2 months, Wags, before you're in the woods and going after that buck with a bow and arrow.
Actually, I was looking at that too, trying to gather some topics to touch on, and I did. I saw one of those, and it was like how to tighten your archery groups, and you're 2 months out, and you got to get going right now because we all have a tendency to be very, very busy, and you pass it. Task has his weekly league play, which is nice, and that's great because that weekly league play or target shooting there is probably done by, I would say, maybe 10% of the archers that we have. So the other 90%, me included, maybe we'll fling maybe 15 to 20 arrows and think, yeah, hey, I'm ready to go. So you're right. With 2 months left, or about 2 months to go until September, mid-September, it's time to make sure everything's good. And obviously at Buck Rub, they take care of your equipment. They'll do that. Tasker actually dropped off a couple of my fletch. Some things had to be repaired. A couple knocks and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's time to do it and use Buck Rub Archery and get ready because we always procrastinate.
All right, so let me ask you a question. When we were talking about that, I had a flashback I'm going to share for you in just a minute with my dad who, when I was in my late teens, he was an avid bow hunter. So did you ever use one of those climber tree stands? You know what I'm talking about? Where you would actually walk up a tree with this thing? I mean, and the reason I ask is because and again, I've talked about, I grew up on a farm, and we had, the light pole in the yard. That's what lit us at night. And my dad would take his tree climber and practice, and he would set it up at the bottom of the pole, and then he would climb it up to about 15 feet, 20 feet, and he would practice shooting in the yard at a target. Yes. And when I think back about it, how unsafe those things were. And not only that, and I haven't done it in 25, 30 years, do they even use or manufacture those things anymore? I mean, literally, you would climb up a tree with a tree stand on. I kid you not. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Wags?
Sure, we still have it. Tasker, that's all Tasker uses. That's all Tasker uses. And so last year, I got one. I ordered one. We were going to different areas I was hunting northwest Illinois, the Galena area by the Mississippi River, and, getting into spots, you just couldn't get back there either to put a tree stand or even a ground blind. So I got one. Tasker came over, and we worked on it. I tell you what, scared the living daylights out of me.
Oh,
hell,
yes.
I don't. That thing slips or a tooth misses
yes.
peels off a chunk of bark. Tasker climbs up there, and he's a little bit bigger than me, but he climbs up there like a damn squirrel. And I'm like, whoa, slow down.
I know.
So he goes, you try it. I tried it. He goes, okay, get a little bit higher. I go, no, this is okay. So I have a nice rig. I think we ordered it, and I don't know what the company was. They sent it to me, and about as far as I got up is maybe about 5 feet off the ground. And I said, yeah, we'll maybe try that next year.
I've just, we were talking about bows and arrows and getting that stuff ready for the season. I thought back to my dad, and literally, again, we have, if you grew up in a farm, you know what I'm talking about when you have a light pole, right? That's what lit up the yard. And Dad would take one of those things. They called it like a walker or something like that. And then he would just shimmy up this pole, and he'd be 15, 20 feet in the air, Wags, and that's how he would practice in the yard. I thought it was crazy. I didn't want any part of it. And the thing is that they recommend that you wear a harness. Do you think my dad wore a harness? No. They never wore a harness,
No, those they call them those climbers and stuff like that.
Yeah, climbers.
Yeah. We didn't even wear helmets when we rode bikes, and we drank water out of the hose, and people look at us like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, I know you're busy today. We appreciate you joining us for a segment. It's going to be a short show here today, but can't wait to get you back in studio. Once that long playoff run is over, we're pulling for you, buddy. Again, let's sell the .coms. What you guys have got going on this weekend out there in Lake Country and Oconomowoc.
Yeah, absolutely. Fargo Moorhead, I believe the Red Hawks are in town. They're leading the Western Division, or they're up there in the West. They play at Fargo, so when we went out there earlier this year, they play right next to the Fargo Dome, and everybody knows where that is. But it is Olympic weekend. The jerseys that the players are wearing and the coaching staff is up for auction. I believe it is still live. It is definitely, I think all the uniforms have been started at $85, goes to a great cause, the .com Foundation. So, yeah, you can watch us. You can bid on our jerseys. The guys that are playing, they love it. They'll sign it. You can either pick it up at the stadium or they'll mail them to you. It's just kind of mixing baseball with the pride of USA in the Olympics. It's going great right now. They're showing clips between innings. We're seeing events. We're seeing our individual athletes winning medals, whether it be bronze, silver, or gold. So it is the whole Olympic theme this weekend against the Fargo Moorhead Redhawks. And if you got a chance, come on out. We have a day off. We head out of town. And then coming down the stretch, we'll be down in Milwaukee again. I like to talk about the Milwaukee Milkmen in a dreaded way, but, it's Wisconsin baseball. It's great entertainment. It's competitiveness. And if you go down and if you're from the Franklin area, we will be down there a couple times. I think they're coming up by us a time or two. I said the Milwaukee Milkmen, Lake Country .coms, we're trying to make that into a great rivalry. Again, it's all great baseball and great entertainment.
All right, good stuff, my friend. Hey, good luck, and we'll get you in that studio again. Your chair is still here waiting for you, and we'll do this again soon. All right, thank you, Wags.
Sounds good, Tim. Thank you.
All right, there he is, Paul Wagner, joining us from the road. Been on the road all summer. I mean, that's his gig, as we've talked about. But as soon as the baseball season winds up, then Wags is back in studio, and we resume the three-man bob and weave, as we like to call it here on Tailgate Talk. Saturday morning, Tim Scott here with you. Eric Tasker is off today. We got a few more things we're going to clean up before we step off and hand it off to Chuck Garbedian and Garbedian on golf. Quick break then as we roll with you. This is Tailgate Talk on the Game. No Eric Tasker today. Tim Scott here until just about 8 o'clock. Then Chuck Garbedian, the award-winning Garbedian on golf, will take over things here on the Game. One of our great sponsors we talk about every week on this program is our friends at Bunzel's. They have got their August meat deal. If you haven't flipped ahead yet, August, we're here. They have this incredible meat deal every month, and we talk about this. We've deemed it the sweet meat deal. The August meat deal is this: 2 4-ounce butter garlic chicken breast fillets, 2 homemade Italian sausages, 1 whole or cut up chicken, 1 pound of lean ground chuck, and 2 chicken patties pre-cooked. Now, that's a maximum of 2 monthly deals per customer per day. So all of that for $20.24. That's right. 2 4-ounce butter garlic chicken breast fillets, 2 homemade Italian sausages, 1 whole or cut-up chicken, 1 pound lean ground chuck, and 2 chicken patties pre-cooked. Again, $20.24. It's the August meat deal with our friends at Bunzel's. They have so much more. We're not done with tailgating yet. Well, again, we're Wisconsinites, right? We tailgate 365. We tailgated. We cooked a lot on the grill about the house this past week with the fellows at training camp. And so if you got Brewer games coming up, you got Packers preseason, you got family night. If you're heading up to Green Bay for family night this morning, we'll swing into Bunzel's, load up before you head up to Green Bay for family night. Of course, the Packers will be on the road for the first 2 preseason games, and then that final preseason game at the end of the month. But there's plenty of other times and ways for you and needs for you to tailgate. Check them out online at bunzels.com, bunzels.com, and please sample that August meat deal. Our buddy Pat Durkin, who's been on the show from time to time, had an interesting piece recently in OutdoorNews.com. If you like to hunt the drumming grouse, the headline was, "Numbers take big jump during the latest spring survey." Looked at this and went, wow. I don't know if you saw this or not, but 6 years ago, there were people in the state panicking over the declines in the ruffed grouse population. They have made a big comeback, a huge comeback. The DNR reported that statewide drumming, the grouse, rose 57% from a year ago, and increasing 60% in the north and 41% in central areas. Now, it did fall 56% in the driftless region in the state. Now, this spring's data fell just short of 4 previous highs since the surveys began in 93. Those highs occurred in 98, 99, 2000, and 2011. But again, the spring surveys by the Wisconsin DNR found that drumming activity by ruffed grouse increased 60% from last year in the state's northern areas and 41% in the central areas. So that's a really, really good sign that, and for those who are worried about the end of it a few years ago, now you look at it and it's very strong. And we talked in the show, too, about at one time in the state there was no turkeys. And, again, I'm going back probably 35, 40 years ago now. But when they brought them into the state population, and many of us at that time, as a youth, we worked with the local conservation clubs and rod and gun clubs and things like that to help repopulate the wild turkey. And now turkeys are everywhere in the state of Wisconsin. They are. You know, in this program, too, we always talk about the idiots that are among us when it comes to being the outdoors. The latest is a story out of Massachusetts. So the guy catches and keeps 14 striped bass, okay? 14 oversized fish. Massachusetts man is under arrest after illegally catching and keeping a total of 14 oversized striped bass, which is not a good thing in the state of Massachusetts. Authorities had received tips about the angler not releasing catches from his boat while he fished off the coast of New Hampshire. Near the New Hampshire Fish and Game officers conducted a thorough investigation and lengthy interview with the individual that resulted in a caught red-handed confession. Okay, his intent was to sell his catch under his commercial striped bass permit, but again, the man fled the scene after several anglers yelled in his direction, threatening to report him to the Fish and Game Agency. So the dude was out, got caught, got busted, and now he's facing some heavy time. We read this all the time about people who do this kind of stuff. And if you've ever watched, I don't even know what cable channel it is on, because there's like 1,000 cable channels now. But they have these shows like something DNR or something Game Warden or whatever. I've seen ones from the state of Texas, and then there'll be ones from the state of New Hampshire, different things like this. And you see people doing this. And as we've talked about before, the lunacy to this is that, okay, it's like you stuff weights down a fish's mouth to win a bass tournament or whatever the tournament is, right? And the grand prize is like $1,500. So you get caught and you lose your fishing privileges for years. You're fined 3 times what you would have gotten if you would have won the tournament. So why is it worth it? I don't get it. This guy was trying to obviously sell these fish. So that was his angle, so to speak, on it. But, the latest lunacy when it comes to the outdoors that we like to share with you on this program. Again, a quick reminder, if you missed any of our shows, it's been a bunch through the summer. We had some great stuff last week when Mr. Tasker ran solo on the program. You can download the podcasts on our website at 97.3 The Game. Again, special thanks to all of our sponsors, Bunzel's. They do an awesome job. We just love their support of this program. As Wags talked about with the Lake Country Dockhounds, they've got a big weekend series. Check out their website at dockhounds.com. And again, back to Bunzel's one more time. This August meat deal, every month when we read the meat deal at Bunzel's, you're like, how much for that? And same thing here. Deal includes 2 4-ounce butter garlic chicken breast fillets, 2 homemade Italian sausages, 1 whole or cut-up chicken, 1 pound of lean ground chuck, and 2 chicken patties pre-cooked for just $20.24 at Bunzel's. And again, that is this month, the August meat deal. They have so many other deals too, and just good folks. They've got, if you want a quick lunch, they've got that fantastic deli. They've got the meat, as we've talked about, for the grill. If you're looking for something bigger, some people, a lot of people are still doing the family reunions. Maybe you're gearing up for a big Labor Day event. Labor Day weekend, that type of stuff. That's where our friends at Bunzel's are there to help. Again, check them out online at bunzels.com, or you can call them too at 414-873-7960.